Hello, my front-end friend. People like to do things like this, where there's a height of 45 pixels, setting the height of this rain indicator on the weather network, because they're doing some behind-the-scenes JavaScript to calculate how big it should be, and then setting it as this magic number that fills up the rain bar indicators that we see based on how much rain we have. Whatever we're doing, it shouldn't be done this way. We should be passing this over to CSS and letting CSS figure this out, because this is styling related. And it's really easy to do this with CSS, and it also opens up more possibilities of what we can do as well. So, and plus the flow is really awkward, because I'm sure you found something, maybe you have to update a style and you get here and you don't see anything that's actually related to the size of it, and you poke around for a while, and then eventually you end up finding that there's an inline style being applied and you go, oh, okay. And it's kind of annoying. So how do we fix this? Or what's the best way to do it? Is don't do it in JavaScript. So this is like sort of my fake API here coming in, grabbing all the information. And then down here, we're getting the max precipitation amount. We're using a min function and all of that. And then down here, we're setting the height. So I'm actually going to take this style off. And instead of doing it that way, I want to set this as a custom property. There's a way that we're going to be able to do this better in the future using the advanced adder function, but right now browser support's not there for it. So for the time being, I think this is completely fine. Let's just write precip, and the precip is going to be my precipitation. I'm not even going to do the math. Let's just copy this to speed it up. I'm not even going to grab this part of it. And that's because if I want to make a change to how it's styled, it makes it easier if that's all being done in the CSS. We're taking the information that's related to styling and passing it on over. So that means we can actually get rid of that completely. We don't need it anymore. So if we come and inspect on here, we should see now that we have the precipitation info, precipitation label, the visual there, and we have this precip of 8.2, the raw data just going straight over to our CSS. So let's go and grab that, and we could come here now and say that we have our block size or height, if you'd rather, either one would be completely fine. And I can't just use that now, right? Precip, it's not actually going to do anything because it's at 8.2. 8.2 what? So we could do something like a calc here, calc of precip times, let's just say it's going to be times 1 pixel, and then we can turn it into a pixel value as an example, and it starts showing up, or 1%, and it will be a percentage, or 1m, and now we have it as an m value. Whatever we need, we can add the unit to it where we need it. In this case, though, what I want it to do is be a percentage of this entire area. So a percentage of like the height there. And we were doing that already, again, in JavaScript, where in JavaScript, we were saying that the max precipitation is 10. This is a magic number that's very related to the styling of how full a full bar would be. So to me, this makes a lot more sense to move the magic number over to the CSS, max precip. And here we're going to say 10. And then that math that I commented out before, over here in the JavaScript, we can move all of that into the CSS too, right? So here we have a calc. Instead of a calc, let's make this a min function. So take the min of my precipitation amount divided by my var of max precip. We'll start with this precip, precip, we've got to spell it right, times 100%. So we've turned it into a percentage by doing that. Now it's at 8.2%. But the reason we want to use a min function is because, let's say it gets very rainy. We get 18 millimeters of rain on the first day. Now it's overflowing. We don't want it to overflow. So that just means here we do a comma 100%. So the min is either this, and if this happens to be bigger than 100%, it uses that. This is exactly the same thing we were doing in JavaScript before, but we've just moved that logic over to the CSS. Now, why am I saying this is better? Some people are like, oh, we shouldn't even, and I get comments on this, we shouldn't be doing this in CSS. This is logic. This logic, if it's logic, it should be in JavaScript. I disagree. I think if the logic is related to styling, it should be there, because let's say you want to update this. They come back and they say that actually we want our rain visual to max out at 20 millimeters. you're probably going to go look at the CSS to start with, because that's where the rain, at least that's what I would do. Maybe it's because I'm a CSS person, so let me know if I'm wrong in the comments. I'm sure some of you will. Let me know if I'm right too. Some of you might say I'm right here. But if you want to update what the max precipitation is, well, then you just come here and you find it right away and you update it right away, and everything works exactly as it was working before. People like talking about the separation of concerns. To me, this is a much easier thing to do. Plus, I bet you the performance will be better because we're not asking JavaScript to do it. It would be something definitely worth testing. And one of the advantages of testing performance is it's easier to test if it's in JavaScript, because you can get the timings of everything much easier. But I have a feeling that if you were to move a lot of the calculations for visuals that you're doing in JavaScript into CSS, you'd actually see performance improvements. I talked a lot about this at CSS Day recently, and some people told me they saw that. So if you're wondering about it, second good reason, if it's related to the styling of something, it should be in the CSS. And second of all, it probably has some performance benefits along the way, but do test them if you are making changes just to double check. But yeah, I really think taking as much information as we can, passing it to the CSS is the way to go. Let me know if I'm right or wrong in the comments below. And with that, I'm going to say a very big thank you to my enabler of Awesome Johnny, as well as all my other patrons and channel members for their continued support. And of course, until next time, don't forget to make your corner of the internet just a little bit more awesome.